Hey everyone, it's Maury. I am rocking the minivan today. My Jeep is in for some warranty work, and so my loaner is a Dodge minivan. It's alright. It's not costing anything, but it's comfortable and it's got lots of room. Speaking of warranties, if you're watching this video, you are probably aware of the situation with Hymer, Road Trek, and the Thor acquisition. I have thoughts about that. I'm not going to go into a lot of it here. Suffice it to say at this point, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. It makes sense for Thor to step up to the plate somehow and protect the brand, the Hymer brand. That doesn't say much for Road Trek because Road Trek was owned by Hymer North America, which is now in receivership proceedings. We'll see how all that pans out. In the meantime, what does that mean for me? Well, most of my videos to this point have been somewhat Hymer specific, and that will continue to a point because that's what I own. But at the same time, I'm going to try and focus some of my content on things that are not brand specific, things that could be relatable to anyone with an RV or that's looking to do any RV traveling. I have some trips coming up that I'll be documenting, so some of that will show up in my upcoming videos. And just to sort of recap some of what I've said in my previous videos, this is my first foray into owning an RV. I've bought and sold more vehicles than I care to admit, but this is my first RV. And so I'm looking at this from the perspective of somebody that was brand new to the experience and learning all about the rig and about the process of traveling and boondocking. And as a novice, there are a lot of details that you just don't understand until you're actually doing it. I watched countless hours of video about the experience overall, and it still didn't quite prepare me for how it actually felt while I was on the road, looking for places to stay, or how long am I going to drive today? Can I park here? Am I going to get harassed? The videos helped a lot. It was helpful to prepare for some of those experiences, but the difference between watching it on a YouTube video and actually sitting in a casino parking lot or driving around a neighborhood trying to find a place to stop, it's just not something you can get from a YouTube video. And so whenever I talk to people about it, one of my first pieces of advice is always, if you buy an RV and this is something you want to do, start small. Take a weekend trip a couple of times, go in the middle of nowhere, get used to all of the systems, and just get used to what it's like to be in the van, and then work up from there. Your first trip shouldn't be 2 or 3 months on the road. Never mind the fact that there are probably things that are going to go wrong that need to be addressed, and you don't want to be on the road when that happens. But if you go out for a few weekends at a time and just kind of shake things out, I think in the end it's going to be a lot better experience for you, and you'll be better prepared for it when you are out for a long time. And that's sort of what I've done. I've done some weekends, and then I did a few weeks up to the Pacific Northwest, and I've been working myself up to this spring when I'm heading out, probably for, we'll see, a couple of months maybe. I know I have to be back in Arizona for some appointments and stuff in June, but thank you. But I've been working up to this longer trip, and I'm glad that I did it the way that I did. And there is my Active, which I have named Enterprise. Side note, my CB handle is Solo. And before you yell at me about that being competing franchises, it's Solo as in traveling solo, not Han Solo. If we're ever in the same vicinity, I'll post a link to the CB that I'm using. I have a Midland 75-822 handheld with an external mag mount antenna. I may upgrade that, but the radio is good quality, and I have a couple of different flexible antennas for it also if I'm on foot. Anyway, we're here to see my grand dogs and the van, so let's go inside. They're saying, hurry up and get in here. I guess that makes me grandpa, huh? There they are, it's the boys. Oh, can't forget Maud. There they are. Look at those boys. This is Whip. He's everybody's friend. And this is Harold. He has trust issues, but they're both good boys. And it's not a coincidence that there's a Harold and Maud here. My daughter is a big fan of the movie Harold and Maud. And she was very excited to have a complete set when Maud came to stay with her. She's the reason that my daughter can't have anything on the walls or on flat surfaces. So her house always looks like nobody lives here because there's no decorations. Yes, sir. Back to the original topic, what happens now? Life after Hymer, so to speak. For me, I'm going to continue making content, documenting things that I do to the van, things that I put in the van, places that I go in the van, and what it's like to be a solo traveler from my perspective, the things that I'm going to see and do, and what it's like to actually do them, from sleeping in casino parking lots to beautiful BLM land, maybe parking in somebody's driveway if I'm visiting. It's not necessarily going to be Hymer specific, although some of it will be specific to Hymer. And I think that's important too, because there is a large community of us as owners who at this point are feeling a little orphaned, and there's not really any information about what's going on yet. It's all relatively new. So in the meantime, I'm going to do my part to help support the community and talk about the things that, maybe someone that isn't as familiar with their van might need help with. And that's why I say all along, if there's something specific that you want to see, let me know. Because when I was doing my research, there were a lot of things that I didn't find easily on the internet or on YouTube that talked about some of these components or things that I was interested in knowing more about, things that I hadn't used before. And so if there's something specific that I can help you understand, now that I understand it better, I'm more than happy to help you out that way. I'm not going to jump on the Thor Road Trek Hymer bandwagon here. There's a lot of information floating around right now, and it would be very easy to take advantage of that in a more public forum, and I'm just not going to do that here. I think that there's more information to be released, things that we haven't heard yet, both what was happening at Irwin Hymer Group North America and what Thor is planning on doing, as well as what comes of the process of the receivership. We just don't know what's going to happen yet. So all of that said, while I may have opinions about what has been happening or what might happen, I'm not going to use this as a platform to discuss that. I've made my opinions known in the Facebook groups, and I think I'm just going to leave it at that. So for this channel, that means no commentary other than what we just did right now. So going forward, I have trips coming up and things that I'm doing. I just added a little TPMS device that I will show you here in just a minute. It's actually pretty slick. It plugs into the cigarette lighter. I'm actually going to wire it a little more permanently so that it's out of the way. I don't like having things sticking out of the dashboard. I'll show you what I mean here, but the setup was easy. It installs easily, and because it's such a small van, there are always notes on these listings about how they're not meant for RVs and stuff. But with such a short wheelbase, it's not really any bigger than a large truck. So it works perfectly, and it will let you set low and high limits, and it will monitor the temperature. The batteries are supposed to last for a couple of years, I guess. And then the receiver plugs into a cigarette lighter. So I'll show you that here. I just really enjoy adding things and adding functionality and making things a little better, making things look a little nicer, taking what I have and improving on it. I'm not interested in making any major renovations like bringing the spare tire inside or redesigning the bedroom. Anything that's that would be a major structural or functional change, I'm not really interested in getting into that. I like what I have to look as similar to stock as possible, or at least for it to look like it belonged that way, or it could have come from the factory that way. Anything beyond that is probably not something you're going to see here. So stay tuned for my upcoming trips. Probably the beginning of April is what I'm targeting for an actual leave date for the big trip. In between now and then, I have a couple of small trips planned, so I'll start populating it with my things that I need on the road. So real quick, here is the TPMS receiver, and you can see that it's showing current pressure, and I need to top off a couple of these tires. So the left side is perfect. The right side may actually be reading a little low because those tires are sitting on the rocks, and so the ambient temperature might be a little lower, which would effectively lower some of the tire pressures. So once I get it off of those and everything equalized, I'll check it again. So there's the receiver, and it just plugs into the cigarette lighter port here. I think that I'm actually going to install it more permanently on this side. I bought some 12-volt ports, and I'm going to pop one into this panel here underneath the dashboard. It will alarm if there's a leak or something that's under or over pressure. So even if I can't see it easily, which I still can see it if it's over there, it's just not in direct view, I'll still hear if there's something going on. And here's one of the little transmitters. You can see that they are labeled RFLF, and it works really well. I'm really pleased with it. It wasn't very expensive. I'll put a link to this in the notes below so that you can check it out yourself. All right, guys, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet and cut it off here. As always, if there's something that you wanna see, let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments below as well. If you liked what you saw here or what you've seen on my channel, be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. And until next time, have a great day.